What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us. No matter what time of the day you're joining us, we appreciate you. My name is Adam Dovico, and I'm an educator, author, and presenter here in North Carolina. And I'm so happy and excited that I am with one of my best friends, Katie Mense.
Hey guys, I'm Katie Mense, and I am here in Southern Illinois. I am a kindergarten teacher of more than 15 years. I am also an author and a national presenter.
All right, so let's get this show on the road, folks. Now, our presentation is called Morning Makeover, and you're like anything like me. Your mornings, have changed over the years. So, Katie, go ahead and slide over that first slide for me. And I want you to think about, what was your morning like when you were a kid? Yes, I know it could be many, many years ago for some of us, but I do want you to close your eyes and think about, what did it look like when you walked into class each and every morning? Did your teacher look something like this? The look of took over the calm of the room as you walked in. You weren't allowed to talk. You sat down. You might have done a worksheet, a problem of the day, reading a book, but heavens no, would you ever dare to talk? Now, I want you to flash forward now and think about, what does it look like now as an educator when you walk into your building in the morning? So now that you're an adult and you walk into the building each morning, does your morning now look like something like this? It's so exciting to see you. And it's only been a few hours, of course, because we all sleep at our buildings. But naturally, when you see your colleagues, your friends, your coworkers, it's exciting. You want to catch up what happened last night. You go to the coffee machine, you go to the copy machine or the laminator, and you catch up on what's going on in your life. And so it's so interesting that our own upbringing brings us back so many memories of quiet and solitude, yet our lives now as adults bring excitement and joy and happiness, even in those wee hours of the morning. Now, as a teacher, as an educator, I want you to think about your kids in the morning. All right, so do you have any kids that maybe remind you of this? They walk in, and yes, even at 9:30, it's still a struggle getting them up. We've all had them. Or this kid. It's 7:30 in the morning and they are already underneath the desk. Yes, you have that kid too. And we all wonder, what are you doing like that so early in the morning? Or my favorite kid, this. You never know what you're going to get that morning. Maybe I'll work. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll listen. Maybe I won't. Maybe I took my meds this morning. Maybe I didn't. Who knows? It could go any way. But no matter what your morning looks like, we got to think about, all right, this is how we grew up, some of those memories. This is how we act as adults now. And then we think about our children. This is the frame that I want you to take with you as we move forward, as Katie and I take you through this little journey of ideas. And we are all about concrete ideas today, about things that you can bring to your classroom. So we want you to remember that each of you is starting this journey at a different point. Some of you have already revolutionized your classrooms to make very exciting, energizing, enthralling places where kids walk in each day. You might be in a new building or a new grade level and be wondering, what can I do in my classroom? Some of you might just be new to teaching and wondering, what can I do to bring that excitement in the morning? So we avoid some of those behaviors that maybe are distracting. So we want you to remember, start where you are. Katie and I are both veteran educators who have been doing this a long time, and we've had opportunities to try trial and tribulations of many of these different things. We're kind of giving you some of our best hits tonight. And so we don't expect you to just take this and run with it tomorrow, but start where you are and try something.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with morning meeting. So what is morning meeting and why is it important? So morning meeting enables us to build strong relationships with our students. Okay, it enables students to talk about things that are important to them every single day. So not only are we building a strong classroom community, but we're also creating a safe environment for kids to be able to learn from one another and share with each other. Also during morning meeting, it allows us time to teach social and emotional learning, which is so important. So it gives us that time to do that. It also gives us a chance to make sure that every student has a voice and to teach that every student's voice is important. And it's also just kind of an emotional check-in for the day. But with all that being said, morning meeting has 4 main components to it. So we have the greeting, the share, the group activity, and then morning message. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Adam, and he is going to talk about the greeting.
All right, so this is my favorite thing to talk about ever. And the greetings, in my opinion, are just one of the most important things that you can ever teach a child. Now, greetings have changed. And I'm going to say that because I've done this kind of presentation many times over the years. And right around 1 year ago, soon, our world changed. And so the greeting, the act and art of the greeting has changed drastically, but the impact has not. So go ahead and shift to that next slide, Katie, because I've created something that I call SPECIAL. And SPECIAL is an acronym. And you can see the acronym right up on your screen there. And naturally, the first one that should make your eyes go big is the first one, S, shaking hands. Because no, we don't shake hands anymore. That picture on there, that slide, that was well before COVID-19. And even for me, who has taught kids and has shaken many thousands of hands over the years, I'm not shaking hands right now. And I'm guessing many of you are not either. So I use shake hands now as more of a metaphor. All right, so we may not shake hands, but it is just as important to still teach kids, and you know what, adults are having to relearn this as well. When you see someone, what is something you can do to say hi? We used to shake the hands, but that's gone now, at least for the time being. So we've talked about things, as I've talked to groups about this, like a fist bump, maybe an elbow bump. If you don't even want to do that, a simple wave, a salute, or just a head nod. There are many different ways that you can show that you are recognizing the person or people that are across from you. We go to posture, P. And so when I talk to students about this, I talk about 2 important forms of posture, standing and listening posture. It's often that kids are never taught about these types of ways that we stand and what our body language tells someone. And so, for instance, if I'm listening to you talking and I'm sitting like this the whole time, you might get the impression that I'm maybe standoffish or I don't want to listen. And that might not be true, but our bodies tell a story. And so I do teach kids about your body tells a story. What story do you want it to tell? Eye contact, E. So it is customary in a lot of our American cultures to have eye contact with the speaker. And that shows the person, hey, I'm listening, or I'm interested in what you're saying. It's very important, though, to teach about cultures as well, because not every culture expects, maintains, or respects eye contact from a student or a child to an adult. In fact, one of my most fond memories is going out and doing some work out in Arizona, and I was with a Native American group out there. And I talked to the leaders, the teachers out there, and I said, you know, we had talked about this, where in Native American culture, usually children do not look into the eyes of the elders or the adults. And they said, we actually want you to talk about both ways, respecting our culture, our heritage, and our history, but also talking about the ways that maybe in the future, the students, if they break out, you know, if they move somewhere else, if they go to a major city, have a job interview, how those skills are also nice to have in your back pocket. So everything we do in SPECIAL comes with a cultural lens. And so please always keep that in mind. There's no one right way to do it. C, charm. This is my favorite part of SPECIAL, charm. Some people just have natural charm. they're exciting, they're happy. You just see them for the first time. You've never met them before, but you say, I like them. And you don't really know why, but that's charm. And there's other people that frankly just don't have that charm. So what can you do to teach a kid charm? Well, you could teach them small little things like smiling, head nod, eyebrow raise when someone says something interesting. Just like I said before, our body tells a story. Our face is part of our body. And so our face tells a large part of how we're feeling or how we can react to someone. And charm is often told through facial features. We go then to I, introduce ourselves. This is perhaps the easiest and hardest all at the same time, because we use introducing ourselves oftentimes as a way to break the ice. And so something as simple as, hey, I'm Adam. That's hard for some people to say. It's not so much the name part that's hard, but it's just getting those first words out. And so if you're a primary grades teacher, feel free to start there. Your name is something you should be proud of. Your name is something important to you. And so by using your name as that way to break the ice, you're teaching the kids that there's a simple yet important way that you can start out a conversation. After you introduce yourself, it's customary that you go to A, ask a question. Now, kids ask lots of questions, but if you think about the types of questions that they're asking, I know if they're anything like my own children, it's what time is dinner? Can we go outside and play? Can I have $5 more for Robux? And so they want things that are very selfish to them. How often does a kid go up to you and say, hey, how was your day? Can you tell me something about yourself? And that's really what we want to try to teach the kids, is how to be interested in someone else. And so giving these kids a bucket of questions, stuff like, how is your day? Tell me about yourself. Do you have any hobbies? These are easy questions that you can use on pretty much anyone, and they break the ice just like your name does, and they engage in that conversation. And last but not least is L, lean in and listen. And for me, I think this is the most important part of special, because a good listener becomes a great conversationalist. The more you listen, the better you are at asking questions. The better listener you are, the more engaged you're going to be in the conversation. The more you listen, the more you learn about a person. And so if there's anything to take away from special, it's that no matter what the age of the child is, please start somewhere. Start where you are. No matter how young the learner is, they have the ability to be taught these beginning stages of what we call social skills. Now, if anyone needs help with teaching special, Katie and I have put together a resource pack on special, which you could find on Katie's Teachers Pay Teacher store. And then we also have a poster that is a great anchor chart for your classroom that you could find on my website, www.adamdovico.com. All right, Katie, over to you.
Okay, so this is another activity that you can do with Adam's special. So what you're going to do is you give each student a card, and then they have to match up their CVC word with the picture. And then that person, they will walk around the room and find their partner. And then that person is going to be their partner for the morning. It's going to be their special partner. So they will greet each other. They'll go through, the actions of special, but then they will also have the conversations and talk to each other and, ask each other, is there, something you'd like to tell me? What are you interested in? Things like that. And then they'll be able to share things about themselves with their friend. So it's just kind of integrating that, reinforcing things that you're working on, and also bringing in that special to start your day off with. Okay, so that brings us to the share. Okay, the share part of morning meeting, I like to do circles. Now, your circles can be proactive, so they can be like helping to build relationships and build community in your classroom, or they can be reactive, where you're trying to repair something that's been damaged, or trying to come to a resolution for a conflict or something that's happened in your classroom. So this is what circles look like in my classroom. We have an object. I have a lot of reading buddies in my classroom, so we usually just choose one of those. And whoever has the object is the person who is speaking. So they have to learn, to respect everyone's voice, learn that the only person that's talking is the person that's holding the object, and that we respect that person and we respect their views, even if we don't necessarily agree with them. We listen to what they have to say. So there's 3 different types of circles that we do. We do social, we do a complement circle, and then we do restorative circles. So social circles are a great place for you to start in your primary classroom. Social circles are very simple, and they just teach everyone to be respectful of everyone else and to learn that everyone's voice and everyone's opinion is important, and that we need to listen when other people are talking and really think about their perspective and what they're talking about. So social circles can be something as simple as what's your favorite color, or how many people are in your family, something easy like that to start with, and just kind of get the feel of how circles work. A complement circle is when you pass the object around and you pass it to the person on your right, and no matter who is sitting next to you on your right, you have to think of something nice to say about them. It can be something that you like about them. It could be something that you really like that they're wearing that day, how they look that day, anything like that. And then the last circle that we do is the restorative circles. Okay, and again, restorative circles are for us to talk about solutions to problems that we might be having, or to just talk about our feelings about something that might have happened in our classroom. One that really stands out to me was one of the first restorative circles that I had to have with this class one year. And it was when I was out one day. It was an unexpected absence for them, so they didn't know I was going to be out. And when I came back the next day, my classroom was just destroyed. There were things missing, things torn up. There were things drawn on. Kids had been sent to the office and sent home for, physical activities and for using bad language. And so when you do a restorative circle, you really want to think about, how can you address this without really putting the blame on anyone? So a good way to do that is to talk about your feelings. So, like, when you came in that day and you saw that I wasn't there and I wasn't going to be your teacher today, but this other person was, how did that make you feel when you came in and saw your teacher for that day? And then you could even, and you pass it around and everybody gets to share, everybody has their voice. And then you can even flip it around and say, well, the substitute teacher, they probably didn't know any of you. They may have never even been to the school before. When they came in that morning, they had no idea what they were going to have to teach that day. So how do you think they felt about having to come in and teach you guys? And then to talk about, okay, well, how can we make them feel welcome next time? How can we be helpful to them and to help everyone have a good day next time we have a substitute teacher? So really talk about, the problem that we had, but in a way that you're not putting blame on anyone, and in a way that you talk about ways that you'll be able to solve the problem and do things differently the next time. This is an activity called Home Card Pass. And if you're doing a lot of social circles, it's an easy way to not have to always have a plan for what you're going to do that day. But you can just grab this bucket. It has clips around the edge of the bucket with everyone's name on them. and then it has cards inside of the bucket. So you grab a clip and you grab a card. So the clip shows who's going to be the speaker that day, and the card is the question that they can choose to talk about. Now they can choose to talk about the topic or question on the card, or they can choose about something from home that's important to them that they just want to share about. Or they can choose to pass for that day. If they just really aren't in the mood to share anything that day, they can choose to pass. But this was originally a video that I had to share, and this little girl had chosen home because sometimes kids just really have things that they want to share so bad, and a lot of times throughout the day, we just don't have time or really take the time to have these kinds of conversations. So this gives us the chance to really get to know our students kind of on a deeper level. So she wanted to share about her birthday was coming up, which is so important when you're 5 years old. And she wanted to talk about how she was having a birthday party and what she was doing. And then after they share, they can choose 3 friends to ask them questions. So this little girl sitting in front of her had asked her, you shared with us that you were going to have a party with your friends. Is there anything special that you're going to be doing with your family that day? So then she got to talk about how she was going to go out to eat with her family and what restaurants they liked and where they were going to go. So it just really brings some great conversation. It helps you get to know the kids on a deeper level, and it helps their peers really get to know them and see what they have in common with them, and helps start those conversations that might be hard for a 5-year-old to start. But here are some free resources for teachers to help you with implementing these kinds of things in your classroom. The Responsive Classroom has some excellent, whole curriculum for you to use on restorative classrooms and restorative circles and questions that you can ask for your circles every day, and just lots of different social emotional curriculum for free for you to use. And then these other 2 are ones that Adam has used in the past.
Yeah, so Sanford Harmony, or Harmony for short, is a program that was started by businesses recognizing the need for social emotional learning. And so Harmony is a free curriculum that is based primarily around social stories and tales around character. And there are also activity cards and just a great curriculum that I used across my school as a principal. Then the second one is called the Positivity Project. And actually, I'm in a new school this year, and we are using this program all throughout the school, K-5. And the Positivity Project is all web-based, and which has been a huge benefit this year, since we've been hybrid and in some days and virtual some days. And so since it's all web-based, we are able to do it whether it's a shared screen or in person. And so the curriculum has, I think it's 32 different character traits, or character strengths as they call them, and they have it broken down by grade level. So K-12, I think pre-K-12 actually, they have resources for each of the character strengths, and it's just all Google based. And so you once you have your subscription, you just click on the character strength, your grade level, and there's the slides for the week. And they have amazing collections of videos and activities and discussions and prompts. It's a fantastic program that my school has really, really loved this year.
Okay, so that brings us to the activity portion of your morning meeting. And the activity should foster group cohesion. So that just means how well does your group work together? And then the activity can also just practice and reinforce academic skills or practice social skills, even just taking turns. So I have a few examples here. I'm just going to hit on some of the ones that I really love to do and some of the different kinds, the different types that I like to do. So the first one is just a game, and it is helping reinforce some of the skills that you've taught in your class. So in the morning, you might have a pocket chart full of cards, and it can have any skill that you want to reinforce on the card. So this one would just be number recognition. So the students would call out a number, say they said 16, so you would pull the 16 to see if that worm was hiding behind it, okay? And then they would keep calling numbers, and you would pull those cards until they found the worm. So it's just practicing social skills like taking turns, you know, focusing on what's going on and paying attention, and just reinforcing those academic skills that you've taught. The second one is more of a team building activity, and I absolutely love this one. This one is called classification. And so what you would do is you would call 4 or 5 students up to the front, and they would share things like their likes and dislikes and just different hobbies, you know, things about themselves. Now, the job for the rest of the class is to classify those students in a way that, you know, with no negativity and with no stereotypes. So this is a great time for you to introduce words like stereotype and discrimination to your primary students, because this is a very important conversation that we need to have, and this is a great way to introduce it. So this is just a great team building activity that covers so many different social, emotional things, and I just love that activity. And then I'm going to move to the bottom to the breathe like a bear. That is mindful activities. The Breathe Like a Bear book, if you don't do mindful activities in your classroom, this is a great resource to start with. I absolutely love this book. It has page after page of mindful things that you can do with your students in the morning. Takes just a couple of minutes, and they're just calming, relaxing, breathing activities that only take a couple of minutes, and they really, I mean, research has shown that these mindful activities reduce stress and anxiety for your students and helps them focus and be more engaged in what they're doing. And it also helps reduce behavior problems for you in your classroom. Research has shown this. If you start your day off like this with mindful activities, that these are the results. So why are we all doing mindful activities every day? It only takes a couple of minutes. So that is an excellent resource. You can get that book on Amazon. I highly recommend it. And then that brings us to morning message. That is the last part of morning meeting. And with morning message, I say just do what works for you. There are so many different ways that you can do morning message, but morning message should be a welcome for your students. It should reinforce the skills that you've been learning in class. But it's also just a predictable activity. They know that that's the first thing they're going to respond to in the morning. They know what's going to happen. And I think a very important part of morning message that should be included is your schedule. Now, of course, you're not going to write out your entire schedule, but if there's something special going on that day, put that in your morning message. If you have an assembly, if you have specials like art or music that day, put that in your morning message, because again, one of our goals is to create a safe place, a safe space, and a safe environment in our classroom. And when kids know what's coming, when they know what's going to happen that day, they are so much more relaxed. That anxiety kind of goes away. They know what to expect, and they're not surprised when something happens that's out of the ordinary. So I think that's a very important part to include in your morning message. And then just including an interactive part to your morning message that will increase engagement and motivation. So it can be something like having them fill in some of the words or parts of the words. It can be that you end your morning message with a question like, this week we'll be learning about bats. Tell me some things that you already know about bats. So then you can have the conversation about their schema that they already know about bats. You can have the end of your message be, if you're learning about word families, like the example on the right says, list some words that are in the at family. So you could even have them turn and talk and kind of talk about all the words they can think of that are in the at family, and then turn back to you, and then everyone, when they turn and talk, then everyone, since they've talked about it, should have ideas and examples to share. And then for my morning message, I like to have a student lead the morning message so that at the end of their message, they can choose if they'd like to ask a question, if they'd like to share something about home or something that's really exciting that they want to share with the class in their message, or they can choose to compliment a friend. So they can write a sentence that's complimenting one of their friends to end their message. So those are all different ways that you can lead your morning message, and some of them, they're all creating a great classroom environment and building those relationships and giving everyone a voice. And that is what our goal is with morning meeting.
So Katie has shared some absolutely amazing ideas for you. And I just want to kind of add another one that I personally am just so proud of and have a pretty good experience with. So as a principal, I noticed very quickly that our mornings were just miserable. we had just the worksheets out. It was boring. We had a lot of tardies, and I know, as I've spoken to many educators around the country, tardiness is a huge issue. And so we had to figure out a way to get these kids to school, because if they're not in the class, you can't teach them. So we really wanted to motivate them. So we started something called Morning Choice. And before I started, I needed a pilot. So I actually called upon one of my former students when I was a college professor, who was teaching 5th grade at the time. And this was not at my school, but she volunteered to try out this idea of morning choice, to revolutionize and change over what your mornings look like. And these are pictures from her classroom. And these are her 5th graders doing simple things like paint, Legos, board games, things that frankly we all enjoy at different parts of our day and our life. And so we thought, well, why not start our mornings like that? Was it dead silent? No. But was it chaos and craziness? Absolutely not. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Katie. So eventually I was able to bring this over to my school, and I implemented it K through 5. And so we looked for things like Play-Doh and board games and art supplies and Legos. And it was really cool because the teachers kind of took it in their own directions as well. And I had teachers that made STEM bins, and I let them go in any direction. We had donations. Oh my goodness, we had so many donations. And so the classrooms were being filled with all these fun, and yes, I'm going to use the word fun, things that they can do to start their morning. But hidden in this fun are all of these social and emotional skills that we don't always have time to teach explicitly. So things like teamwork, cooperation, sharing, learning how to lose, learning how to win, all these types of skills that we don't always have time or place for during the day now had a time and place in our classrooms. Go ahead. So I found a little bit of money from my district, and I had a very kind person in the district that was able to give me a small grant. And with that grant, we were able to provide each classroom with one of the bins that you see there. And a little quick story: when I met my assistant principal for the first time, my first year as being a principal, one of the very first things I told her, as we kind of pre-briefed on the year, because this was before the school year started, I said to her, I want these kids addicted to coming to school. I want them so excited that they are pushing down the doors to get into their classrooms. And I didn't necessarily know how I was going to do it at the time, but Morning Choice definitely proved to be one of those key factors in getting the kids to school and getting them excited to get to their classrooms. So I do have some data that I'm going to share, and this is over the course of a few years. The first year you're going to see is 2016, 2017. That was the year prior to me starting. So this was before I started. So you could see from the prior year to me starting to then the subsequent years, we decreased our number of students who had 15 or more unexcused tardies almost in half, which is awesome. That means these kids were getting there. And to my knowledge, the only thing that we changed about our mornings was morning choice. Our arrival and the buses and all that remained the same. The one noticeable difference was what we were doing when we got into the classroom. Now, I can't say that morning choice was the only attribute to this thing. You'll have to read my books to find out all the other things that we did to school culture. But I will say that morning choice was a key component in how you started your day. And how you start your day is really important. And so our office referrals took a huge plummet as we went through the years. Now, do I wish those office referrals were zero? Yes, I do. But I'm also going to celebrate that we showed a decrease, a great decrease. So that I will attribute in great part to how we started our day and that shift that we made in our school. And likewise, the number of students being suspended decreased dramatically as well. And again, I do wish those were at zero. And my philosophy has continued to evolve on what suspensions look like and the detrimental behaviors that could, or the detrimental effects of them. But I am proud that we were able to show a decrease in those suspensions over the years. And again, I cannot say that morning choice was the only attribute to get to that, but I do think it was a big, big part in this data that you see here.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about morning tubs. Just as Adam had made the switch to morning choice, I, as a kindergarten teacher, had made the switch to morning tubs, which is a very similar idea. It gets the kids super excited to come to school. It is such an engaging way to help reinforce the skills that you're teaching in the classroom, but it also not only does those things, but it also allows the teacher to be able to do things like attendance and lunch count and checking all of those folders and be able to do it while your students are actively engaged in meaningful activities. Okay, so, but one of the reasons that I also made this change was because the year that I made the switch, my students' fine motor skills were so poor. So I had to think of some way that I could bring fine motor activities into my classroom every single day to try to help strengthen those little intrinsic muscles. Those are just the muscles in your hands, to strengthen those muscles and help them with all of the things that we expect them to come into kindergarten to be able to do, like use the tools that we give them and hold their pencil and write their name and cut with scissors, and they just weren't able to do that. So this was a way that I could bring fine motor skills into my day every day. And like I said, it's hitting our literacy standards, math standards, and it's doing it in a fun and engaging way. So I can show you a couple of the activities real quick, just so you get an idea. I like to find very affordable and easily accessible materials for my morning tubs. I am pretty much a junk junkie. I love going into Dollar Tree or Dollar General or the Target dollar spot and just finding junk that I can bring into my classroom and just bringing that novelty into the activities that we do to get the kids excited and make it fun and more hands-on. So the first picture, she has spider web numbers. So there are numbers with spider webs inside of them. And all I needed for this activity were the skeleton hand tongs that you can find at Halloween time, and the plastic spider rings that you can find at Halloween time. So she's just picking up the spider rings with her skeleton hands and placing that many on the spider web number. The second picture, they're just feeding that many pieces of corn, so it's one-to-one counting, and they're using tweezers, so really working those fine motor skills and feeding that many pieces of corn to the turkey. Okay, the next picture shows she's practicing base 10, and she's doing it with peppermint sticks and peppermints. So her 10s are the peppermint sticks and her 1s are the little peppermints. And she's building the numbers with those tools. The next one is one of my most favorite activities. It's label a sticker. All you need for this activity is a sheet of stickers, and we use seasonal stickers. You would be so surprised to find out the fine motor that goes into peeling a sticker off of the sheet and manipulating it and sticking it on to their response sheet. And then they just go ahead and use their invented spelling to label their sticker. They absolutely love this activity. Again, it's the novelty. They're using stickers, and the stickers change with every season. So it's just so much fun for them. Some of the other ones down at the bottom, he is building 3D shapes with straws and candies. The next one is just Valentine's rings. I just bought some Valentine rings, and it's a great visual for subtraction. So say the equation was 5 minus 3, then he puts 5 of those rings on his hand. He will take 3 of them off, and then he has a great visual to see how many are left. And then they'll just write those equations on the line. So just finding little materials that you can, find super easily and making it fun and exciting and really working those fine motor skills every single morning. And this is like the most rewarding part. Every morning you're just so busy doing your thing. You're checking folders, you're doing lunch count, you're doing attendance, bathroom routines, talking to parents, everything that you have going on in the morning. Then you take 1 second to turn around and take it all in, and you see that every single one of your students is actively engaged. It's such a beautiful sight. And not only are they engaged, by themselves, but they're collaborating together. Like Adam said, is it super quiet? Does it maybe get a little noisy? Of course. To me, that's fantastic. That's them collaborating together. That's them working together to problem solve and find solutions to their problems. So I love being able to see that.
So I can attest, first of all, so I can attest that Katie is a junk junkie, and she's amazing at it. And I'm always just amazed at how her brain just looks at everything at the Dollar General and Dollar Tree and just says, I know how to use this in my classroom. It's an amazing skill. And so Katie and I decided to kind of combine our skills and our interests and our experiences. And so we created something called OneChip. And OneChip is a small collaboration between us where we have now created these guides for teachers, primarily in kindergarten, where we give you all these ideas, standards-based for math and ELA, and we sell these on our website, OneChip.OneChipEDU.com, and you just purchase, download, print them out, and all the materials are very basic, easy to find things. Most of you can get at Dollar General or on Amazon, and we've just been so excited seeing classrooms around the country starting to implement these kinds of things. And so you could just see a few pictures there of some of the activities that we've done.
Okay, and then of course, right now, we've given you all of these ideas, for morning tubs, but things right now are kind of difficult, but it is still so important for those little ones to have those hands-on experiences and to be working those fine motor skills. So we've tried to think of ways that we can still bring these kinds of activities to our students, but keep them socially distanced, or making individual kits, or putting them in a bag to take home for your virtual learners. So if you go to our website, OneChip EDU, it will give you, you just click on our Amazon link, it gives you a list of the materials that you would need to do any of the activities that we give you ideas for. So they're easy to find, but of course you can always find them other places as well. But it'll give you an idea of what they are and where to find them. And if you go to our website, there's also a video that shows you how to make them into these small little take-home kits or these individual kits. So it's actually very easy. It tells you how to set your printer to print the guides at a smaller size, and where to find everything you need and how to package it and keep it in this small little container. But we've also come out with some compact kits, and those are just little individual kits where everything that they need to work on all of these skills are in their own little bitty tub. These little containers are containers that you can find at Dollar Tree, or the one in the other picture, those are those crayon containers that you can find at Walmart. Okay, so that's how big they are. They're about the size of a soap container. But everything that they need for these activities fit inside. We have mini eraser ones and task cards to go with all of the standards that you need to hit. And we also have a Play-Doh compact kit, which is just the coolest thing, because we thought about what kind of tools could we put in this kit, and searching, and we found the easiest tools that you can use, things like wooden sporks and wooden spatulas, and those little wooden knives. They're actually little spoons for like Italian ice, little honey dippers, and things that come in packages of 100 on Amazon for a couple of bucks make the perfect Play-Doh tools for your kids, and they fit perfectly in those little compact kits. So you can check those out on our website as well. And that...
I told you Katie gets excited about it. And so we've shared many ideas with you guys, and we hope that something resonates. And like we said in the beginning, start where you are. There's so many things out there that you can try, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. We know, particularly when you're teaching in a pandemic. And so we want to be here to support you, and we want to share ideas that you can bring to your classroom in a easy, fun, but also impactful way. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. You see our social media handles right there on the bottom, and our website. We appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.